Tola woke up to the soft rays of the early Lagos sun filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows of her master bedroom. She stretched and looked around at the elegant room decorated in cream and gold. The air conditioner hummed quietly, a relief against the warm morning. Outside, she could see the tops of palm trees swaying gently along the quiet street of Lekki Phase 1. Welcome to Afro Tales TV, your home for rich, exciting, and inspiring stories from around the world. Today's story will touch your heart and keep you hooked till the very end. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our amazing stories. It was a beautiful morning in their upscale neighborhood, and everything felt peaceful and secure. Her husband Kunle was already up. Tola found him on the balcony, sipping a cup of coffee and gazing out at the city skyline in the distance. In the morning light, his features were calm and handsome, his eyes thoughtful. He wore a crisp white bathrobe, looking every bit the relaxed young executive starting his day. "Good morning, darling," Tola said softly as she stepped out to join him. She wrapped her arms around him from behind, resting her head against his broad back. Kunle turned and smiled warmly. "Good morning, my love. Did you sleep well?" he asked, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. His voice was filled with love and tenderness. "Yes," she replied with a contented sigh. "Especially knowing I get to wake up next to you." She rose on her toes to give him a light kiss on the cheek. He chuckled, pulling her into an embrace. "You always know how to make me start my day with a smile." They stood there for a moment, enjoying the gentle morning breeze and each other's presence. From below, faint sounds of the city drifted up. A car horn in the distance, the melody of a street hawker calling out wares, and birds chirping in the trees lining their property. Their home was a spacious two-story house in Lekki Phase 1, one of Lagos's most affluent areas. The couple, both in their late 20s, had worked hard and were grateful for their success. The house had a small garden out front with bright bougainvillea flowers and a tall guava tree. Inside, every room was tastefully furnished, not in a flashy way, but with quiet evidence of luxury. Marble floors, soft leather sofas, modern art on the walls, and a gleaming open kitchen with state-of-the-art appliances. It was the kind of home they had dreamed of starting their life in, and every day they felt fortunate. After a light breakfast together, toast, omelets, and freshly squeezed orange juice prepared by the cook, Kunle got ready to leave for his office in Victoria Island. He was a senior manager at a tech firm, and although the drive to VI could be long due to traffic, living in Lekki meant it was much shorter than if they lived on the mainland. Still, he always tried to leave early to beat the notorious Lagos rush hour. Tola, on the other hand, ran a small fashion boutique online and had the flexibility to work from home or visit suppliers around town as needed. This morning she planned to organize new inventory and respond to customer orders, a relatively relaxed day for her. As Kunle picked up his laptop bag, Tola walked him to the door. She always made a point to send him off with a loving goodbye. "Drive safely, okay?" she said, straightening the collar of his neatly pressed blue shirt. "I will," he promised, giving her a gentle kiss on the lips. "And you have a great day too. Don't work too hard. Maybe take some time for yourself." She smiled. "I'll try. See you in the evening. Love you." "Love you more," he replied with a grin before heading out the door. Tola watched from the doorway as Kunle's black SUV exited the gate, the security guard waving respectfully. The morning sun reflected off the car as it turned onto Admiralty Way, joining the flow of traffic. She felt a swell of love and gratitude. At 28 years old, she felt she was living a life most could only dream of. A loving husband, a comfortable home in a nice neighborhood, and a growing business of her own. But Tola was not just grateful for material comforts. It was the warmth of her marriage that truly made her happy. She and Kunle had met during their university days and built their life together from scratch. They understood each other deeply, communicated openly, and supported each other's dreams. In their 3 years of marriage, they had faced challenges like any couple: busy schedules, A miscarriage the previous year which had been tough on both of them, and the pressures of extended family. But they faced everything as a team. Those trials had only strengthened their bond. After tidying up the breakfast dishes alongside their housekeeper, Mama Bisi, Tola settled in the living room with her laptop. She answered some customer inquiries and scheduled a social media post for her boutique's new summer dress collection. As she sipped a second cup of tea, her phone rang with an incoming call. She glanced at the screen and saw the name Sade flash. Sade was her best friend since secondary school, practically a sister. They had grown up in the same neighborhood in Ikeja on the mainland and remained close through the years. While Tola had gone to university in Lagos and eventually married Kunle, Sade's journey had been more turbulent. She had lost her father during their university years and had to shoulder her family's financial burdens. Life had not been as kind or as easy for her as it had been for Tola. Yet despite any differences in their circumstances, their friendship stayed strong. They talked often and met up whenever they could, though recently it had been a few months since they'd seen each other in person due to busy schedules. Seeing her friend's name, Tola answered eagerly, "Sade, hey, it's so good to hear from you." What greeted her was not the cheerful banter she expected, but a muffled sob. Tola, came Sade's trembling voice. Immediately, Tola sat up straight, heart pounding with concern. "Sade, what's wrong?" she asked urgently. "Are you okay?" There was a shuddering breath on the other end. I didn't want to bother you. I'm sorry," Sade managed to say, clearly crying. "Don't apologize, please," Tola said, her voice gentle but firm. "Talk to me. What happened?" "It's just, I don't know what to do," Sade said between sobs. "My landlord, he gave me notice. I have to leave my flat by the end of this week. He's increasing the rent and I can't afford it anymore." "Oh no," Tola responded, shocked and sympathetic. She knew Sade had been struggling financially ever since she lost her last job 2 months ago. Lagos rents were notoriously high, especially when one lived alone without a stable income. "That's terrible. Did he give any reason or anywhere else in his properties you could go?" "No, he said he already has a new tenant willing to pay more. I've been trying to find another place, but everything is so expensive now," Sade lamented. Her voice was raw with stress. "I haven't even gotten a new job yet. I have some savings, but not enough for the kind of 2 years rent upfront people are asking." Tola could hear the despair in her friend's voice. She bit her lip, thinking quickly. She didn't want Sade to panic or do anything rash like taking an unsafe accommodation in a far-out suburb. "Listen, what about your cousin in Surulere? Can you stay with her for a while?" Tola asked, trying to think of immediate options. "She's already housing 2 other relatives," Sade sniffed. "Her place is too cramped. I slept on her couch last night. I can't impose longer than a day or 2. I feel so helpless, Tola." Tola's mind raced. She felt a surge of protectiveness and love for her friend. Here was someone who had stood by her through thick and thin, and now she was in trouble. How could she let her best friend suffer when she had a big house with a spare room lying empty? An idea formed and she wondered why it hadn't come immediately. "Sade, pack your bags and come stay with me in Kunle," she said decisively. There was a stunned silence on the line. "What?" "No, I can't, Tola. You've already done so much for me in the past. I can't intrude on your married home like that," Sade protested, though her voice carried a glimmer of hope. "It's not an intrusion. We have a guest room that nobody is using. We'd be happy to have you until you get back on your feet," Tola insisted. "What are friends for? You would do the same for me." I don't know." Sade hesitated. "I don't want to cause any issues between you and Kunle. I know it's your home." "Kunle is fine with this. In fact, I'll call him now and let him know," Tola said, already reaching for her phone to text her husband. She had no doubt that Kunle's kind heart would be open to helping her friend. She and Kunle had occasionally hosted relatives or friends for short stays, and he'd never once complained. He was generous and understood how much her friendships meant to her. Before Sade could object further, Tola continued, "It's settled. You're coming here. Just bring your important stuff. You can stay as long as you need to until you find a new job and a place. Please, Sade, I won't take no for an answer. I can't have you worrying about where to sleep next week." On the other end, Sade broke into fresh tears, but this time they were tears of relief. "Tola, thank you. You have no idea what this means to me." "You're my best friend," Tola said softly, her own eyes moist now. "We'll sort this out together, okay? Just get your things ready. I'll send Samuel, our driver, with the car to help you move whatever you need by this evening." After a bit more reassuring, Tola hung up. She immediately sent a quick text to Kunle. "Morning, love. Just spoke with Sade. She's in a housing crisis. Landlord evicted her. I offered our guest room for a while. We can talk more later, but I really want to help her." She hoped he would understand. A few minutes later, her phone chimed with his reply. "Of course. I'm okay with it. We'll make her feel at home. Love you." Relieved and grateful, Tola smiled to herself. She knew she had the most supportive husband. She spent the rest of the morning tidying up the guest room herself, instructing the housekeeper to change the sheets and put out fresh towels. She added some nice touches, like a small vase of flowers on the bedside table, to make her friend feel truly welcome. As she prepared the room, she thought back to their childhood antics, sleepovers at each other's houses, giggling over secrets late into the night. Who would have thought years later Sade would actually come live with her for a while? The circumstances were unfortunate, but Tola promised herself she would do everything to make Sade comfortable and help her bounce back. By late afternoon, everything was set. The guest room looked inviting, painted in a soft peach color with a window overlooking the garden. It had its own small ensuite bathroom, which Tola stocked with toiletries she knew Sade liked, including the shea butter lotion Sade always used. Around 5 p.m., security at the gate called to inform her that Sade had arrived along with their driver. Tola practically ran to the front door in excitement. She opened it to see Sade stepping out of a silver Toyota Camry that the driver had taken to fetch her. Sade looked a bit weary and embarrassed, but she managed to smile when she saw Tola. Sade was the same age as Tola, but slightly shorter and curvier. Today she wore a simple yellow blouse and jeans. Her usually cheerful face looked tired, and her eyes were puffy, likely from the stress and crying. She had a suitcase and a couple of bags. As soon as she got to the doorway, Tola pulled her into a tight hug. "You're here, thank God. Welcome, my dear." Sade took the water gratefully. "You didn't have to go to all this trouble." "It's no trouble at all." Tola waved it off. "I'm just happy you're here and safe. How was the trip? Traffic wasn't too bad, I hope." "It was fine," Sade said after a long sip. Her shoulders relaxed a bit. "Samuel is a great driver. He even helped me talk my landlord's security into letting us park inside the compound while I quickly packed some things. It was a bit rushed, but I have most of what I need for now. The rest of my stuff can stay with my cousin for a while." "Good. And now you can breathe," Tola said, patting her hand. Sade nodded, emotion shining in her eyes. "I still feel like I'm dreaming. I felt so lost this morning, and now I have this." She gestured around the lovely home. "Don't be silly," Tola chided gently. "You would do the same for me, wouldn't you?" "Of course," Sade answered quickly. I know this is your and Kunle's personal space. I promise I won't be a burden or overstay my welcome. I'll try to find a job as soon as possible and get out of your hair. You focus on getting a job for your own stability, not because we're rushing you out," Tola said firmly. "We want you here as long as you need to be, okay? And you could never be a burden, Sade. You're family." Overwhelmed, Sade hugged her again. Tears brimmed in her eyes, but this time they were tears of gratitude. Just then, the front door clicked open. "Hello, ladies," came Kunle's warm voice as he walked in. He had let himself in with his key, arriving earlier than usual from work, likely because he wanted to be there to welcome Sade. He carried a small bouquet of flowers and a polythene bag that looked like takeout. Both women stood up. Kunle was tall and athletic in build with a friendly, open face. He flashed a bright smile. "Welcome, Sade," he said, stepping forward. Sade wiped her eyes quickly so as not to appear like she'd been crying again. She mustered a smile back. "Thank you, Kunle, and thank you for having me here. I'm so sorry for any inconvenience." Kunle shook his head and immediately handed her the bouquet of fresh white lilies. "It's our pleasure. This is a home, not just a house. We're happy to share it with a friend who needs it. Here, these are for you. And I thought you both might not want to cook tonight, so I brought home some dinner, jollof rice and grilled fish from Yellow Chili." "Oh, wow, you didn't have to," Sade said, clearly touched. "Ah, this is so sweet," Tola added, giving Kunle an approving look full of love. She knew he had gone out of his way to make Sade feel welcome, and that warmed her heart. "It's nothing. I figured you two have had a long day and I got out of the office early," he said casually. He then made a playful face. "Also, it gives me an excuse to have that delicious grilled fish. I've been craving it all day." They all laughed, easing the emotional tension. After that, they settled Sad into the guest room. Kunle carried her suitcase for her down the hallway. The guest room was across from the master bedroom, separated by a short corridor lined with framed photos of Tola and Kunle's wedding and travels. One photo caught Sad's eye. It was the three of them at Tola and Kunle's wedding reception 2 years ago, the bride and groom beaming with joy, and Sad beside them as the chief bridesmaid, just as happy for her friends. Sade stared at the picture for a moment, her expression unreadable, but then she smiled and followed them into her room. "Oh my," she gasped when she saw the room. "This is so lovely, I don't know what to say." The room indeed looked inviting. A queen-sized bed with a soft blue duvet, a small desk by the window, and the ensuite bathroom door slightly ajar, showing the clean towels and toiletries. "Say you'll get a good night's sleep tonight," Tola replied, squeezing her friend's hand. That evening passed pleasantly. The three of them ate dinner together in the dining room, sharing stories. Sade, looking more refreshed after a shower and change of clothes, even cracked a few jokes. She recounted a few amusing tales about strange customers at her last job in retail, making Kunle and Tola laugh. They all talked about their university days, reminding each other of old classmates and silly things they did in school. Kunle listened with amusement as the two friends reminisced about sneaking out of the dorms for late-night suya, spicy grilled meat, or the time Tola and Sade got in trouble for swapping exam seats to help another friend. "Those were the days," Tola said with a nostalgic smile. "Now we're adults with real responsibilities." "But you two still found time for fun," Kunle pointed out. "Just last month, weren't you at that concert on VI dancing like teenagers?" He winked at his wife and she laughed, recalling how she dragged him to a popular singer's concert and ended up embarrassing him with her enthusiastic dance moves. Sade watched them interact, a soft smile on her face. To an outside observer, she seemed simply happy to be among friends, but behind her eyes, there was a flicker of something else, perhaps envy or longing, as she observed the gentle teasing and affection between the couple. If anyone noticed, they didn't mention it. As the night grew late, they all yawned almost in unison. The emotional day had taken its toll on Sad, and even the hosts were tired from the excitement. "All right, I think we should all get some rest," Kunle said, standing and stretching. He collected the empty plates to take to the kitchen, waving off Sade's attempt to help. "No, you are our guest. We'll handle this. You go relax." "Yes, tomorrow's a new day," Tola added. "Sade, if you're up for it, we can go around the neighborhood, maybe show you the shopping center nearby, or you can join me in some errands. But if you prefer to rest, that's totally fine too. Make yourself at home." "I appreciate everything, really," Sade said, suppressing a yawn. "I think I'll sleep in a bit. It's the first time in a while I won't be worrying about, well, everything. Thank you both for giving me that peace of mind, even if just for tonight. There are many more peaceful nights here for you until you sort things out," Tola assured, giving her a good-night hug. Kunle gave a friendly nod and smile. With that, they each retired to their rooms. In the master bedroom, As Tola changed into her nightgown, she felt content. She was glad to have helped her friend. Kunli was already in bed, flipping through channels on the TV to catch late news or a football highlight. "She seems happier already," Kunli said, looking up at his wife. "I'm glad we could help her out." "Thank you, dear, for being so understanding," Tola replied, sliding into bed and leaning her head on his shoulder. "It means so much to me. Sade is like a sister. I couldn't just watch her struggle when we have room to help." Kunli kissed her forehead. "You have a good heart. That's one of the reasons I love you. And she's a good person. I've known her almost as long as I've known you. She deserves a break." They watched TV quietly for a few more minutes, but Tola's mind was already drifting to sleep. Before she drifted off, she thought about how well the day had turned out, and how hopefully this arrangement would be only positive, helping a friend in need. There was a tiny, barely formed worry at the back of her mind. She had heard stories of house guests overstaying or causing issues, but she brushed that aside. This was Saad, her best friend. They had no secrets, no grudges, only trust and love from years of friendship. If anything, living together for a while might bring them even closer, like sisters. In the guest room, Said lay on the comfortable bed, staring at the ceiling. The room was dark except for a sliver of moonlight sneaking through the curtains. She felt the cool breeze from the air conditioner and noticed how quiet the environment was compared to the noisy, crowded compound she had lived in before. Here, there was no sound of a generator grinding next door, no shouting neighbors, no traffic din. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful for her racing thoughts. She immediately felt guilty for the thought. Tola had worked hard and also faced pain. Said knew about the miscarriage, how devastated Tola was even if she put on a brave face now. Life wasn't perfect for anyone, and Tola's helping her now, proving what a true friend she is. Said turned on her side, closing her eyes tightly. She resolved to focus on getting a new job, saving money, and moving out to rebuild her life. She would not take this kindness for granted. She would repay them someday for this generosity. With those thoughts, exhaustion finally overtook her, and she fell asleep. She couldn't sleep yet. Her mind replayed the events of the day, and she felt overwhelmed with gratitude, and something else she didn't want to admit. When she saw Tola and Kunle together, their affectionate glances, the way he catered to his wife, and even to her, a guest, she felt a pang of loneliness for not having that kind of relationship in her life. At almost 30, Said had seen her share of heartbreak. Her last boyfriend had left her when her financial troubles began. And here was Tola, with everything seemingly perfect, a dream husband, a lovely home, a thriving small business. It wasn't that Said wished any ill on her dear friend, never. But deep in her heart, she wondered, why not me? Why have I been dealt such a hard hand while Tola's life seems so blessed? She immediately felt guilty for the thought. Tola had worked hard and also faced pain. Said knew about the miscarriage, how devastated Tola was even if she put on a brave face now. Life wasn't perfect for anyone, and Tola's helping her now, proving what a true friend she is. Said turned on her side, closing her eyes tightly. She resolved to focus on getting a new job, saving money, and moving out to rebuild her life. She would not take this kindness for granted. She would repay them someday for this generosity. With those thoughts, exhaustion finally overtook her, and she fell asleep. The first few days of Said's stay were smooth and pleasant. Each morning, they would all share breakfast. Sometimes it was a quick meal if Kunle was rushing to work, just cereal or bread and eggs. And other days during weekends, a more leisurely brunch of yam and egg stew or pancakes with fruit. Said always offered to help in the kitchen and around the house. At first, Mama Bisi, the housekeeper, was protective of her duties, but Tola explained that Said just wanted to keep busy and feel useful. So Said took on small tasks, washing the dishes after meals, helping to fold laundry, or watering the plants in the garden in the evenings. It made her feel less like a burden and more at home.